In this tutorial, I'd like to talk about full screen background images, and I will upload some other tutorials where I use Photoshop and talk more about image manipulation and also creating some basic graphics for your site. In this tutorial, I'd just like to show you the mechanics of downloading and then incorporating a full screen background into your site, which is one of the ways you can start to add some more design to your site. It's difficult if you're new to this and you're learning HTML and CSS. It's hard to really design sites, incorporate graphics and images and make the site look better because you're so concerned with making the code work. And what I'm showing you here is an easy way for you to do that. So what I'll use is this site that you see right here. That's the basic CSS layout site, the responsive one that I built in one of the previous tutorials. And then I'll use the w3schools.com, click on CSS, and then click on CSS Backgrounds. Scroll down until you see background image. This is the code that we will use. It's actually pretty simple. And then the site that we'll use is unsplash.com. After research, I think this is the best free stock photography site. Use it however you want, and then download your images. So we will use this one, and then you could use Photoshop or like an online image editor like this Lunapic works pretty well. That would be to like resize your photos and apply effects. But that's a little beyond this tutorial, so I'll do that in a different one. But that's one site you could use. So let's grab an image first, and the other thing I would recommend is you get something that you can see, because sometimes if you download, I don't know, like this one for example over on the right hand side, you might only get just a little bit of that sky. So you want to get one that you can see when you incorporate it onto your site. And then also for usability, you want to think about what's going to work with the text of your site. Maybe a dark image may not work too well. This might work, just whatever you want to do, just think about how it's going to look with the text of your site. So let me scroll down here and I'll just grab one that I think might work all right. All right, so I scroll down and I like this one. I think it's probably a little bit too dark, but it looks pretty interesting. So let me just go ahead and download. I'll click on the top right, download free, and click save. All right, let me move this out of the way. And here's my site. There's the CSS layout folder and there's the images folder. So what I want to do now is take this, drag it and drop it on the images folder, and I'll rename it bg.jpg just to make it easy. All right, now incorporating the code on here. One thing that you want to check out first is, does your code already have a body tag on it somewhere? What I'm doing here is I'm using the CSS layout site, which means I have an attached style sheet. So the code for the background is going to go in that .css style. If I look at this code, notice at the very top there's already a body tag. So if you already have the body tag in the code somewhere, this is controlling the margin of the site. You do not need all of this here. All you need would be the background line. Now if you look at your code and you don't have that body tag, then you need all of this. And all that does is that tells the browser, what do you want to apply the background image to? In this case, the body of the site, which is the whole thing. So I'm going to go ahead and just highlight this right here and copy it. I'm going to come back over to my code, space down 1, paste this in here, and then just change the link. And the link is in an images folder /bg.jpg. Gives me a little hint there. Click File, Save, or if you're working with HTML and CSS files, it's good practice to do a Save All. All right, come back over here and refresh the site. And there it is. Now you can see that it's too big. It's probably way too big for this site, but it does work. I would need to downsize it. I would need to change the colors, the opacity, possibly lighten it up, but it works. That's really all I wanted to show you with this. A couple other things. You can't see the image behind the header because this header division tag has a color applied to it. So if I come over here and look at the header, if I take out the background color, click File, Save, over here and refresh, now notice that you see the background image behind that. Another thing that I wanted to point out is that this tag here the background tag, it applies to anything. So for example, if you wanted to put a background color or an actual image inside of a division tag, you could do that. So, if let's just see, what this does here. It's going to look pretty bad, but if I take this code again here and copy it, and I go down to the content, so those are the columns, that's where the color is, and paste this in here. So that means the background image now is going to be inside that column. Refresh. Notice that it now has a separated column there because that has a different background in it. Or it has a background image that starts over. Now you could also just change the color of these particular columns here, and then it would show up, the text would show up a little bit better. So click File, Save, Refresh, just like that. So that's one simple way that you can start to add some design into your site. Now again, this is just a very quick tutorial showing you how to do this. It doesn't look very good in my opinion as I'm looking at it right here. I think with some minor changes it could be better. This is probably good enough to start, and then I would downsize the image and lighten it up a little bit, and then I would probably use like a different color or a header image or logo up in the top, and then the site would start to look a little bit better. But what I would recommend that you do at this point is browse some of these images and see what might work a little bit better. Problem with this one here, I believe, is that it was just too big. So if I look at how big this is, it's 4,000 pixels, so that's really large. If you're going to downsize that, you might try half that size to start with. Backgrounds are going to repeat, so there are some tags in here that you can use that will keep it from repeating, or repeat only X or only Y coordinate. So just let me know if you have any questions with that, and experiment with downloading some photos and seeing if you can make them work for your site. And then use a free online editing program to downsize if needed, and then look for some tutorials from me where I'll use Photoshop and make the site look a little bit better and get the image looking how I want. I'll probably post those in the next couple weeks. Alright, that's it for this tutorial on full screen backgrounds.